Today, July 5th, 2026, is my parents' 52nd wedding anniversary, had they stayed married. And the video I am about to show is about their wedding day and the movie that they saw, Papillion, which is butterfly in French. And it's funny because my parents both showed me the movie many years apart, and it was my dad that actually told me the significance of it in relation to their wedding day. So anybody that's known me for a while knows that I have butterflies fly around me and other winged things, and um, butterflies just have always been important. So here's just another synchronicity, and I wanted to show the wedding because it's a happy day. Um, People go into weddings with all the best intentions and hopes for the future. So I just want to show the wedding and them seeing this movie afterwards. They did get married in the courthouse. So this would be my parents about 1973 with my little brother in the pregnant belly of the woman, me on the hip, mom with the gun, um, and my dad with the saddle there. I actually grew up with this statue of my dad in ill repair and found the statue representing my mother uh, several years ago before he ever died. And so now that they're both gone, they have a very strong Uranus imprint and even died 17 years apart on the same day of the month. And so anyway, I've talked about all that before. And in the little camera there, I found 616 is my sun moon midpoint, the day that the sun is on it. And a lot of other things, interesting things have happened. So I digress. This is the event chart for their wedding. Uh, this is where all of the planets that I put in were on the day. And what I have put in is their names and the county and state, town, the address of the theater. Um, I even added in Dustin Hoffman and Steve McQueen. There's some very interesting things that are seen. Now, this is just the event chart, and from it, I have put in other things throughout, and I have learned that the event of the wedding sets in motion things too that affect the other people around. Uh, so this is just one example, and I know a lot more about what's in the chart and how it affects everyone from them being married. So anyway, the very first thing you see on the ascendant is the husband. That would be his name, which in the other charts that I'll show, it'll say dad's name. So here it is right here, and groom is just behind it. That does connect to Love Day down here on the IC, and Spirit and Kithara. I think in this instance I'll use the positive Kithara, where she is associated with Aphrodite, love, and which is also Venus. So anyway, then you see, of course it affects the descendant axis, and we have right here bride, dad B, If you've watched any of my other videos, you know it's his name with something similar to booger I first chose for him because my dad could be a real booger. Everybody has their own, different ways that they are perceived by others and different ways that they act. So the Dad B, and the town is here also listed as a witch. You have witch and you have Ville and Berg and all of these. So town witch here. And these are my chaos. We also have Chiron and my mom's legal first name and middle name, and conjunct here, 24. So we have all of these connecting. Oh, we skipped over Lovejoy. And so that's another one that's connecting in this. And then my mom's nickname here also. We have Eri the Fates and Kali are conjunct here. And that's right at, Kali is right at my dad's midheaven and my Venus, which is 22.5 degrees. Lovejoy is very close to my Gianna here. And as you can see, it does connect to Astro Courier. Like I said, some things just set into events that can happen much further on. Now, there were 2 eclipses before and after this happened. And this did happen. I didn't put it in here. There was a full moon in Capricorn at 12:09 on July 4th. Which is right opposite Mom's name here and the sun. It connects to all the rest of the greens like Miller, Eris, Discord, and Strife for positive changes. Mom's maiden name here. McQueen, which is close to McQueen, but I did also use a Queen's. Let's see what else. Texas, Lovus, and Venus. And here is my Gagnero and Gianna, which I did not put in their composite chart, I'll show. But you can see that it's all connected, and that's in conjunct Miller here. And it makes a finger of God. Oh, there's the Capricorn full moon right here. I did put it in. So anyway, so that makes a finger of God here. A yod. Now, right before this happened, there was a new moon total solar eclipse, 28 degrees, 24 minutes, June 20th. And that 28 degrees affects a lot in my own personal charts, my dad's, my mom's. But here in the event chart, you can see at the top here where the eclipse happened, you have my mom's nickname with the county name and the street of the theater are right here. We have my dad and Pretoria, Hecate, and Townburg are all right here. Now, Pretoria does have to do with prisons, which is what the movie Papillion is about. And it's in South Africa. And it also has to do with problems due to drugs or the drug world. I happen to have Pretoria exactly opposite my Uranus. So that explained a lot when I discovered that one. So then we have Unitas, which is uniting, and Leva here. We have it connected to Dad Regus in the first house here. And that's my dad's name with Regus, the king. He's the king of his castle. I've heard him say it before. Connects to their moon, to the moon. This isn't their composite. This is the event. And to Queens here, as I said, there wasn't exact McQueen, so I used McSween and Queens. So let's see. And then we can go the midheaven here. and the IC are, they're the 22s that connect to my Gianna and 12th house Venus. I have a lot of other 22s also, but you can see that the angles are very challenging. They're very close in degree number, and that does create a more difficult marriage, which they did have. So let's see, what else do we have? Ah, yes, the other eclipse, November 29th, later in the year. This was a year of Gemini and Sagittarius eclipses. So we have the total lunar full moon eclipse at 7 degrees 2 minutes later in the year. I was 2. I have no idea what happened at that time. I know that things were very turbulent in the relationship, but you can see that it's opposite the Neptune and Smith. Now, Smith was my mom's last name when she married. It was my last name due to some weird things that happened. Even though my dad's last name was Miller, I was a Smith for my first 6 years or so. And the eclipse happened on the county. Still within range to Phaethon, which is a phenomenon, things out of control, and destiny. As a matter of fact, this might have been about the time that he tried first, because I found in his papers, tried first to change my name legally and ran into some problems. So I'm sure there were other things going on. But it connects to the town where our house was, which sits with the Mercury. It was a family home and property. And Saturn belonged to the grandparents, like I said, and home and property, Saturn. And then we have Union and one of the Fates era connecting to it all. Their Pluto is 3 degrees from the eclipse, but I wanted to include it because we do have a lot of 4-degree activations coming up this month. And you can see that their part of fortune here is 6 degrees. We have Hemera. I like Hemera because it has to do with everyone having a good side and a dark side. Everybody wants to say people are evil, but everyone has a good side and a not so good side. That's a better way to phrase it, because we're human. We're here to mess up and learn from our mistakes, hopefully. And so Hemera is just one of those I really, really like, and she has to do with a combination of dark and light. So then we have Pallas and Urania, which is the goddess of astrology, and Lilith are connecting here. Smith and Neptune to the Mercury-Saturn townhouse. I have other stories for that, but now we have Pax and Ergo were also included in that, and Pax would be agreements and contracts, like getting married, and then Ergo is where it's the address of where I lived when all of my things of weirdness started happening. My dad actually got to come visit that place when I got married. And he flew down. But so Ergo also has to do with physics and a new relevance for an old phenomenon. So that's included there also. Now when I pulled this chart up, I have it set for noon. In the composite chart, it says that Mars is at 1557 or 8. It moves very quickly. So you can see that it connects to Boda, and Boda is weddings. So I wanted to point that one out because it's an unfamiliar one, and you can see that it does connect all the greens, and Mom's name with Miller on the end. She became a Miller that day. So let's see, what else do we have? I'm still learning new asteroids all the time. So this Otilia here, I learned from a book by Benjamin Adama, and it's the Asteroids in Astrology, Book 4, Outer Main Belt Asteroids, Trojans, Hilda, and Cybele. And so Otilia is light after darkness, the higher self manifesting, the refined human state of consciousness, an angelic touch, the uncovering of blind spots and fatal errors, healing of physical and mental health problems through psychosynthesis or spiritual physical alignment. Now, they didn't manage. Mom never could deal with her childhood issues, and neither could my dad. They divorced. She left him in 1985 on a very important day in my own life. Besides that, so um, yeah, so Otilia connects to that around to Boda also. And then you can see it makes a yod pretty close to the Eris. I don't know what else is here. So the yod being the finger of God. I will point out that the full moon in Capricorn there squares my Chiron. You know, my Chiron, my Indiana, my Mercury, my Eris, and a whole lot is right here. So yeah, so they got married. We have some Dad A, which is his name, and to me it's like the more positive side of him uh, that was shown to the world. Dad A is connecting to loving here, and Jupiter and Juno were conjunct at the time. Um, Juno, of course, being again more soul contracts, commitments, relationships. She's the wife of Jupiter. Jupiter co-ruled my dad's Pisces sun. Um, and that turns out to be very, very important because my own name for my mom is here at 17 degrees. But let's see what else. Mochia. This Mochia here at 1407 connects to my Genki actually. But it's another new one, so I'll read it here. Daring to take a new step in unknown or new territory, keeping promises, and the phase of transitioning from child to adulthood. I was my dad's Saturn return. I was an unexpected pregnancy. So, you know, we have all those fun things. And of course, the 6th and 12th houses are supposed to be very karmic in esoteric astrology. So then we have, well, here we have the More of Fate is also connected around to the 25, 26s, everything 2 degrees each way. Now we have star of the show here. This is asteroid Paphos, is the closest I could find to Papillion. And you can see that it's opposite karma, connecting to the theater address and to Townville. The 20 degrees is very important. It's my IC and my midheaven. We have, let's see, Hoffman here at 309, very close to the Mercury, and Cine here. So I didn't do the blues really. Follis is there when the cork is popped. Then you have Cine, which is like cinema, and their vertex is 536 here, so that's connecting to that lunar eclipse. And Pisces does rule movies, and you know the creative, the music, the movies. My dad was a real big fan of all those, and you can see that Sene is opposite Arrow, the Fates, and Union here. Union's opposite the Vertex. I don't know exactly what time of the day they got married, but or even went to the movie, but I know that they did. Ginky here is trying to my current last name, and their composite chart actually mirrors my last marriage. So then some other asteroids that I use here are Lovelock, and you can see here at 0 degrees. Kind of important also. So Neptune is stationing retrograde right now, and I had some kind of glitch happen at 20 minutes and 38, or 20 minutes 38 seconds, which my midheaven is 28:39. So let me get back to where I was. Oh my gosh. One of the things I missed with the purple is that Uranus is opposite the bride, town, mom, and Chiron, and connecting with all the other purples also. In conjunct the descendant, husband there, and squaring the astro courier. There's always so much to look at that it's even if I write a script, it's hard. So we have the nodes of fate. We're at 1920. The mean node was 1808, which does connect to the actual location, which is that special thing that I found that I don't believe anybody else has, in pinpointing something. And all right, so it just kind of gives you an idea. This is where the planetary bodies actually were. And you'll see that loving in the first house is making that inconjunct to the Jupiter and Juno. And Jupiter is also spiritual connection and protection. And I've had contact from both of them since they've died. From my dad, even while he was alive, distance from Indiana to Texas. But, so, there's Dad A right there, connecting by the heart. And then, of course, I have the lightning bolts there. Now, I like to use the Star of David for the really important things, just to point out that Love Day was right here on the IC. So, I'm going to move along. When I was pulling this up to start working on it again last night, because it's been something that's been in a folder on my laptop, I got to really focusing when I was clearing this part out. I knew that his birthday was 4/20, and of course my dad was an addict, and I did not realize that the sidereal time was actually his birthday exactly. So that's pretty interesting to another synchronicity. He was a 29-degree Pisces. I have lots of stories about that. So this is the composite chart for my parents, and fun fact, their rising is 12 degrees, 12 minutes, 12/12 Cancer, and that is my solar return rising this year. So we have mom here, her legal first name, and the sun on the ascendant here. This is also fixed star Sirius. Sirius is said to be our spiritual sun for the earth, and the Dogon knew about it way before the astronomers did. And of course 12/12 is a very powerful number in numerology. The full moon the day before happened on the descendant axis. So this is a composite chart is a chart of the relationship. This isn't the wedding chart. This is based on the times that they were both born, the dates and times, and it's putting their charts together to make a chart of the relationship. So synastry shows its own things when you compare the two charts together, but this is a chart of the relationship itself. And it, that shows the purpose and it shows the timing. So very interesting that the full moon, of course, happens right here. They're becoming love locked with the marriage. Did set a whole lot of other things into motion. Now, what I don't think I mentioned on the other chart that full moon total lunar eclipse at 7:02, that affects, I have a lot of 7 degrees. My sun, my Jupiter, Texas, and academia, quite a few other things that I have at 7 degrees. So here is this. Now, the one thing that's different about this chart is all of the planetary placements that I showed in the chart previously, the event chart, are now in green on the outside. So we can see how as they travel, most of them travel counterclockwise, except for retrograde planets and the nodes of fate. So they're now on the outside and aspecting the composite relationship. I didn't highlight as many because my next updated version has a whole lot more, but you'll see I still put in the full moon and the eclipses and how things are lining up. And this eclipse here at 7 degrees, November 29th, did hit their Uranus. In my dad's natal chart, my mom's first name and Miller and her childhood nickname are with his Uranus in his 10th house. That's me being conceived, which I also have charted. But it totally changed his life because now he had a child, and at his Saturn return, he was going to have to grow up. So anyway, yeah. Their Venus here and my mom's nickname in the composite chart are actually my dad's son's the 29-degree Pisces. And then we have my mom's son is here 27/27 Aquarius. So those all connected to that other eclipse here in the 12th house. And again, these are karmic houses connected to my dad's first name and the Saturn. And on that day, the name of the theater street was right there on my dad's name. And mom's nickname with the county name was at 26 degrees. And those are all connecting to my mom's maiden name, to the Mars and Pretoria. I didn't highlight there. And let's see. Again, it's hard to do the 2-degree orb each way. So the ones I highlighted in yellow because groom is at 111 and the theater address at 109. And those are actually in an inconjunct to bride. And the IC here, I see the inconjunct as a karmic event meant to happen. So, I mean, even karma is on my Hades Isis at that time. So back to the 28, 29s, loving here, right on their midheaven, just past it in the 10th house. And the location is that exact location that I believe I'm the only one discovered so far. The nodes of fate are connected. The south node and the north node in the first house here of their relationship. You see that my dad's name and Pretoria are just past the north node. He did go to jail a few times. Anyway, we have Leva or Lovus. Leva at 29 degrees 42 minutes, and that's in conjunct his sun and their Venus, mom's childhood nickname. We have Dad Regus, the king, connecting to that. Lovelock at 0 degrees 3 minutes is in conjunct the midheaven and loving. McSweeney at 2938. My current last name at 2701 in my chart is it's just near the galactic center on the Master Builder degree. And you can see that the new moon total solar eclipse was also opposite it. Let's see. Is there anything else? All right. Then we have, of course, this eclipse. Did I talk? Yeah. Happened on their Uranus near Leva and Paphos. County names here right near it. The Pluto for their composite here is at 7 degrees 40 minutes. So that's connecting in a sextile and pointing this way at their part of fortune. I don't recall right off the top of my head what's at 7 here, 7 or 8. But it does connect to their vertex, Destiny's Gateway. So it did happen on their anti-vertex. Very important axis. So Neptune is also opposite that full moon total eclipse. Right now Neptune's stationing retrograde, so it's activating things again. And at 7 degrees 21 minutes, it's opposite their Uranus. Let's see, then we have Lilith here at 5 degrees 55 minutes. Is at their Queens, Steve McQueen. I know my dad was fond of him, and my mom seemed more fond of Dustin Hoffman. But those connect to Eris and make a finger of God here towards this Jupiter. Let's see, then we have connections, of course, with Dad B, retrograde, square the part of fortune. Alright, so you can go around and connect the colors. There's that karma also connects to the nodes of fate, whereas karma is in conjunct the north node here. Even though the mean node, which I've also started to put into things, is connecting to some other, to cinema and some other things. Let's see, Boda. The mean nodes of fate connecting to Boda wedding and the location here on it. And another thing I want to point out is that their karma at 1644. My Uranus is 1642 here. And where I got married last is at 1642 here. And my dad did come to that wedding. So lots of fun little things to see. The 22s that connect to Gianna and my 12th house Venus in 67, 64. Lilith and Chiron in their composite are conjunct, connecting to the Theater Street name, to Town Witch and Lovis. Mom's nickname, her childhood nickname here at it. And Mom's nickname, county name in their composite chart. Dad B in transit here with Bride. Town Witch. Chiron and Mom Ann had crossed over. Mom's legal name, first name. And of course, their Pretoria Mars. What else do we have? Phallus there when the cork is popped, when something happens. Mom Miller at 20 degrees here. Theater address at 21, location at 1839. So you kind of get a feel for how all that goes. Now, Love Day connects to the Pluto here at 411. That's transit Pluto. Right here at their Neptune in the 4th house. And that rules their Sun, their Mercury, and their Venus. Neptune does. Their entire chart is ruled by the Moon being a Cancer rising. So the new moon to full moon, eclipses, and all will affect that very much. We did just have a Capricorn full moon recently, right here on their part of fortune. Let's see. Connecting to that Neptune-Pluto love day is love lock. When you get married or even have a child, you're locked in love together. And that does connect here to the Eris. Transit love day is another one of the 22s here in Sagittarius, here, 6th house. I didn't have it marked. But I can always think of more things to add in, and I get myself all worked up. So we have McQueen here with Mars, and that's right here by their karma. And the Mars, see it says 1557 in this chart, is square to Boda weddings. And of course we have the Papos, is that 20, that connects to Mom Miller. And the South Node here, and the North Node in transit here. Alright, so I know Mercury's retrograde. I'm probably going to forget a million things that I wanted to say. I know that Venus at 1040 is connecting to one of my mom's names, but oh, Venus at 1040 here is square their moon at 1040. So I love to see those matchups like that. One other thing. Bride here sits at the supergalactic center. And the great attractor is around 15 degrees Sagittarius. And that's connecting to Mars. Mars is supposed to be the activator of eclipses, I've read. So we have a trine from Mars to the great attractor that brings in the people and situations that we need. And then, of course, the galactic center sits right here, 26, 27 degrees Sagittarius. That does connect to Pretoria and their Mars. Queen's here in transit. Alright, so I'll just keep going in circles and getting everyone confused. We'll move on to the next one real quick. And here I got a little crazy and I started writing in all kind of things. The mean node is actually my Nessus. Nessus is a troublemaker that stirs things up, but can also lead to karmic and generational healing. So the nodes of fate connecting to my Nessus is pretty important. Their love lock is actually my birthday, and their loving is my Diarrhea opposite Pluto that connects to my Mars, Miller, Crantor in the 12th house. So I have all these little things here written. Papo and Lova opposite my Neptune. Their Juno is my AC, my rising, and I have Serendip right with it. And actually, my grandmother, my paternal grandmother's name, maternal and paternal, had very similar names, so it could be used for both. But so technically, it's my midpoint that their Juno is, and their vertex is opposite my Calliope, which is the storyteller. And one of the things, you know, I didn't do any kind of astrology while Mom was alive, except for just basic sun sign things. You know, she had Linda Goodman books when I was a kid, and I kind of looked into them and went back to it every once in a while, but she died in 2006. So her work actually started after she died when it came to helping me along my path. And it got to the point there at the end with my dad that I was able to show him things in charts, like the Uranus with my mom's name, and all the various little different things about his moon and Mercury and how beer affected it, how his friends' names and his parents and the kids. And yeah, I was able to show him a lot that I think was able to help him get over some of the fear that he had that he was going to die. So for me, that seems to be my ultimate success. Um, because he didn't want to admit things that he did, but he knew. He did have Sun opposite Neptune, where he could kind of hide from what he did, but we can never really hide. Anyway, so their karma is sextile my Uranus, trine my Pretoria. Their Boda wedding is in conjunct my Nessus, semi-sextile to my addict. Now my addict sits at 18 Aquarius, so the nodes of fate were connecting to that. Addiction is a very big issue in my family's life, and even though I don't, I am heavily affected, as are my children. And so the theater street name also is my middle name, and the astrologer that started my obsession with asteroids, because she saw something that I'd only told 2 people about and brought it up, and I was fascinated that if she could see that, what else could be seen? So, of course, Diuretsa is opposite Pluto obsession for me. So that started that. And my dad was shot by the name of a person with the same street as the theater street name. Their Uranus is my Chronos, which is another Saturn, and he is the Lord of Time, the timekeeper, which is sextile my Sun and in conjunct my Jupiter and my dad. That makes a finger god yod also. So their transit Boda is my part of fortune, and of course that squares the Mars. Mars rules all of my Aries things. Transit Eris is my Mercury, 13 degrees 47 minutes. And of course I have Mercury in Eris and Chiron in Indiana, and the county name I lived in previously all are right there with my Mercury, Christ Comet. Transit Mom Miller is trying my part of fortune. Her getting married to him just kind of locked it in. Transit Dad is square my karma, Mom Ann, and Neowise, which I have all at the end of Libra at 28, 29 Libra. Also the street name of where I lived in the other county that ergo was important, the house address. So Transit Venus is my Serendip. Transit Miller is on my child. Transit Neptune is trying my Sun. Transit Cine and Phallus conjunct together here, right here in the yellow, are square my Serendip and Ascendant and Descendant. So Cine being cinema and Phallus there when the cork is popped. Transit Paphos is square my midheaven, which has my mom right there at it, her legal name. And I have union there and my third husband's name. And of course it squares my IC, emotional foundation and roots. So those are some pretty important big things. You can see that their north node is in conjunct to the great attractor and my current last name. I mean, the galactic center in my current last name. Sorry, the great attractor is the 15-ish, 14-ish degrees. Now my dad's Regus and Lovejoy here make a semi-sextile to my Ginky, my childhood. It also squares my Atreus, which is what can be perceived as a family curse. So my dad and my dad was always very proud of me, and we had a much better relationship when I was very young and then later on in life, but it was pretty hectic throughout the middle. but I was there to take care of him at the end, and yeah, I was daddy's girl. I didn't suffer as much of the things that my brothers did. So we have just a whole lot of little different things here that I'm showing that match up and line up. I do have a triple composite chart that I can also do, and the individual um, crazy charts, just of the natals and the progressed and the lunar charts, many other different ways that can be looked at. And you can see the same things over again and again and again, matching up in different ways with the same degree points. So just wanted to kind of show all of this, and it was a happy day for them and set a lot of things into motion. Their sun is opposite my moon, semi-sextile my Mercury, Eris, Chiron, square my natal Celestia, which is a astrology goddess, in conjunct my Juno, and trine my child. Their Saturn squares my Vesta, which also is conjunct my sun and is opposite my Jupiter. Their Jupiter squares my Babylon star. What else do I have there? Delphi, Beer. I just discovered Mayo, and then Artemis. I have a lot there at the 6-degree Gemini mark, and that's opposite Arago, that property address where I started learning how to do all this, and it's conjunct my Neptune. Their moon squares my ascendant descendant. Their Neptune is trine my messenger, which I have in the 12th house, 4 degrees, and semi-sextile my Psyche, which is 4 degrees 44 minutes in Virgo. Their Lilith Chiron is sextile my Gianna and trine my Venus 6764. Their Miller is opposite my Magion and is in a T-square with my Merlin, which are both related to magical events, synchronicities, all the strange things that I have pictures of in my Not Crazy folder. So yeah, just a lot of fun things to look at and see how relationships can develop and interact. Thanks for watching.